Welcome back to Eyes Open, the show where we delve into and recreate the eyes of the movie monsters and creatures that we all know and love. My name is Mark, and since it's the month of March with St. Patty's Day, we wanted to focus on some Shamrock-inspired eyeballs. And we could have looked into Leprechaun for obvious reasons, but nah, it's Silver Shamrock time, so we'll be looking into Halloween 3, Season of the Witch from 1982. Who gives a damn it's only March around here? I'm just excited to talk some Halloween. And there's parts I love about every entry in the 13th film franchise. Well, all besides Resurrection. That one really does piss my Lucky Charms off. Chaps my green clover ass. And if Resurrection isn't your least favorite in the franchise, I mean, hey, that's cool, to each their own. But you know what? I got questions and maybe some judgment for you, brother. But more on that later. For the St. Patty's holiday, we wanted to create some cool Shamrock eyes and dive into the Season of the Witch. So let's go ahead and get our eyes open on Halloween 3. In the beginning stages for director Tommy Lee Wallace coming into the picture of Halloween 3 starts back after the success of John Carpenter's Halloween. Once Halloween 2 was being developed, Tommy was brought on as the initial choice for director. But once he read the script of Halloween 2, he was not impressed. He stated he did not want to repeat themselves, as he felt they told all the story they needed to tell with Carpenter's Halloween. So Tommy passed on the directing role, which was a choice he was upset about, because he felt he was leaving his friends and a great opportunity behind. Then in comes a year later, Halloween 3 was being discussed, and this time it was promised as it would be its own thing, an anthology that would start a new Halloween movie every year, new stories which could lead into their own sequels. So if Halloween 3 was a hit initially and made a big profit, the franchise would look extremely different today when the sequels would have been churned out. The concept of Halloween 3 was from Deborah Hill. Witchcraft meets the computer age. Nigel Neal wrote the screenplay, and then John Carpenter came in with rewrites, and Tommy Lee Wallace himself also doing some rewrites. But in the final stage does just get a sole writing credit to Tommy Lee Wallace, which he says he still finds pretty hilarious because 60% or so of the finished film is what Nigel wrote. Shit, that's Hollywood, baby. So when the film finally came together, we have a Halloween mask company in Silver Shamrock, and the kids all over America want those damn Silver Shamrock masks for Halloween. You ain't cool unless you rockin' a skull, witch, or pumpkin mask on October 31st. At the center of this operation is the owner of Silver Shamrock Novelties Company, Connell Cochran. It comes down to Dr. Dan Chalice, played by everyone's favorite, Tom Atkins, to uncover the plot of the Silver Shamrock Company, which turns out to be a weird mixture of ancient rituals, technology, and witchcraft to brainwash all the kiddos on Halloween night. Cochran is basically like, you know, kids, bruh, what are we doing here? Carpenter's Halloween, even though being set on October 31st, is more centered on babysitters being stalked by Michael Myers. With Halloween 3, the movie is much more focused on the season of Halloween itself, being a creepy October spooky tale. Cochran goes on to say that Halloween, the festival of Samhain, had the last great one that took place 3,000 years ago, with the sacrifice of blood of animals and children. It's part of their world, their craft.
Witchcraft.
The planets are in alignment, and it's time again for that craft. And since we're an eyeball-focused show around here, let's go through and see what eye scenes we can find here. From the opening, we got this dude running from the Shamrock Boys. Eventually winds up in the hospital for some much-needed shut-eye. When, damn, he gets his eye socket smashed into and eventually pulling up on his inner nose bones, snapping him out. You're gonna need some Excedrin, my dude. Later on, we got Marge staying at the dank local motel spot and messing around with the Silver Shamrock logo attached to the mask, which is like, come on, don't be messing around with that shit, because you're gonna get your goddamn face zapped. Afterwards, her face is totaled, and those eyes are some red, brutalized looking eyeballs. Later on, back in the hospital, we got a nurse who doesn't necessarily get her eyes poked out, but that drill does come pretty close, and we get an eyes wide open reaction shot. So yeah, still worthy of an eyeball talk in my opinion. And of course, probably the standout scene of the movie, when the Silver Shamrock commercial triggers the mask on little Buddy, and you know, rots his face. Those eyes are glued to the TV set, and those pumpkin carved eyes ain't looking too hot. The iconic masks for Season of the Witch, the Halloween 3, are a classic, and even though this was a one-off story, the masks do eventually find their way in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills from 2021. The mask of the skull and the witch were from Don Post Studios, and the pumpkin mask was made for the production of Halloween 3, with the help of Don Post and sold after. Later on, after Don Post, the molds of the mask and likeness from Universal are handled by Trick or Treat Studios. Now, Halloween 3 was released in 1982, and initially was underwhelming and became quite the black sheep of the franchise. Referred to simply as the one without Michael Myers, eventually became quite the cult film and has grown in popularity the decades since its release. I mean, at every horror convention we're at, Halloween 3's presence is always felt and has some of the coolest merchandise and novelties from the whole franchise. And if history repeats itself,
don't you know history repeats itself?
Like it usually does, the most recent film, Halloween Ends, may follow a similar direction. And like I mentioned earlier with Resurrection, that film was hated when it arrived, and the years since, I don't see much change from the fan base for that 8th film in the series. For Halloween Ends, I'm very curious what the evolution of that film will be. Right now, it seems to be referred to as the one as, where's Michael Myers? He's barely in it. And who the hell is Corey Cunningham? What's going on in the cave? Why can Corey overpower Michael? Why is Laurie now similar to 1978 Laurie and not 2018 Laurie? Why is the ultimate battle so quick in the kitchen? And you know, for me, it's like, I mean, Halloween Kills came out just 1 year before. And that was Michael the whole time going full ham. And 2018 was a whole movie of Laurie hunting and a long climax of fighting and traps in her house. So for Ends, why would we just do the same shit and, repeat the beats? With Halloween 3 and Halloween Ends, what I see are interesting characters and actual time in the story to grow and, have some depth. Creepy, weird, unexplained Halloween season vibes and atmosphere. A beautiful love story. Amazing synth soundtrack from John Carpenter. A great opening title sequence. Brutal murder scenes and a cool, unconventional main character. Whether you're cruising the streets of Haddonfield on a bike or grabbing a 6-pack and hitting the road and turning the ladies on with that mustache. There are similarities and parallels, at least to me, when it comes to Halloween 3 and Halloween Ends. Some obviously deliberate and homages on the filmmaker's part. But I'm currently rocking and hanging out at the small Halloween Ends appreciation party. Maybe I'll see you there, in the future. And you know what? I hear you. Enough bullshit, Mark. How about those eyes? And what about those eyes indeed? For St. Patty's, we wanted to create a cool themed eye with these green Shamrock eyes. These eyes are available now on the website at foursealstudios.com and the Etsy shop. Links for these will be in the description. So with all that Halloween 3 and Silver Shamrock talk, if there's one thing I can say for sure, it's that let's just do our best and not forget them eyeballs. So be on the lookout for our next episode, and until then, keep your eyes open.